Hello, I'm Trey, and I wanted to share my experiences today of the difficult time of the festive season and also the dark days running up to that time. Winter is not great, it can exasperate anxiety and depression, especially depression because of the lack of light. I function much better when it's lighter. I find myself physically and emotionally and mentally much better in the lighter days. So you've got the dark days running up to the festive period, and for a lot of people who live isolated lives, it's not an easy time. I've never found it an easy time, and I'm sure there's lots of others who are suffering from the effects of trauma and anxiety and depression will relate to that. There's plenty of people aren't going to be having a great time at Christmas. They're not going to be sitting around a table with lots of other people, having a nice meal. They won't have any company. They'll be living a lonely life. And this time of year really highlights that. It brings a focus that is not pleasant. So when you see adverts on TV, selling a Christmas that you're not going to have, when you're going to the shops and it's all full of decorations, there's carols, festive songs, it can actually make you feel more isolated, very emotional, and you're trying your best to not be miserable around other people who are wanting to have a good time when you don't actually feel that way, and you feel disconnected and miserable, basically. And you see Christmas as maybe a dark gloom that's coming towards you, and you just don't know how you're going to cope with that. That's what Christmas can be like for some people. Festive period can be a difficult time for some people. So how do you get through that? Well, I can only pass on some of the things that I try and do to make that time of year not so miserable and not so dark and not so overwhelming, because emotionally it can be. There's a great deal of sadness connected to the festive period for a lot of people. So how can you deal with that? I mean, if you have the option to be able to be with others and have some kind of connection with others who are genuine friends, then you've got that. You can phone them, send them a message, text them, meet up with them if you have the option. That's good. Through the charity, there's been times when we've visited people who are going to be on their own, and it is a difficult time for them, and we visited them so they have some kind of connection to other people that cared about them. And there's lots of people need that. Some people do volunteering during this time for people who are in need. That's an option. If you don't have that option and you can't get out, there's no transport, and you are going to be on your own, it's finding a way for you to alleviate that for yourself. So it's focusing away from those difficult emotions, and I do that by exercise on that day. If it's nice out, if it's not pouring down with rain and you haven't got gale force winds, you can get out for a walk. It can be quite pleasant. If you're making a meal on your own on that day, you get some food in that's a treat for you. It doesn't have to be a Christmas meal. It can just be a meal that you actually see as a treat. Also, I tend to get something like hot chocolate because that's a treat for me. So I will indulge in that over the festive period. Like I said, finances are difficult, so I'll maybe go to a charity shop and get a book I fancy reading, or a DVD to watch. If you have access to a TV, you could pick a movie or a drama that's going to be on over the festive period, and sit and watch that and enjoy that. Also, there's your hobbies. If you have any hobbies that you find the focus is generally very good for you and helps alleviate the difficult moods you can suffer from, use those, indulge in those. Anything that makes you feel better. Be kind to yourself. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it before. I download free audiobooks through my local library. You get them for about 21 days. So before Christmas I will download a new one and I'll listen to that. Quite often I'll listen to that when I'm doing something else. It's relaxing, it's enjoyable, and it helps me not focus on the negative side of this time of year, the gloom and that pit you can fall into. And that's generally what I would advise, what I do to try and make this time of year not quite as difficult. So I hope that anybody who's listening to this has got some tips. If you have any tips of your own, please do post them. I will find them interesting, and hopefully anybody else that's following my page will find them interesting. Anything that you've found positive that helps you during this time of year, please do share them. And also the new year, quite often some of us have had a difficult year, and you get to that new year and you maybe focus on that a little bit, but try not to focus on that so much. Look at what positives you've done this year. Some of those positives could be partly that you've helped others with their difficulties. That's a positive for you. I always do that. I think of the things that I've done to help others, and I take a positive out of that. Any little thing that you've done in a year, in the past year, that you've seen as a positive and an achievement, focus on that. And then when you get to New Year's Day, it's a reset. It's a new year. You don't know what's coming in that year, and it isn't necessarily going to be a bad year. You don't know what's coming, you don't know what you're going to be facing, but it could be a good year. So let's think of it as possibly it's going to be a good year, and that's what I do. I'm going to have some good things coming my way, and I'm going to try and take it one day at a time. So again, I hope that's helpful, and I hope you find some kind of positive in that, something that'll help yourselves. So I'd like to thank anybody that's listening to this. I'd like to thank anybody that's following my page. Please do post your comments. I'd love to read them. And I'll be back soon with another podcast.